Hi guys, welcome back to a new stream. This is me Yosh and we code to learn. Yeah, we code to learn, not learn to code. We code to learn. Have to go insane. Because coding is nothing more than insanity. आप हमारी दुकान बन गए, आप हमारी दुकान बन गए, आप हमारी दुकान पता नहीं कौन सा खाना है. Hi. After so long, we code. We cody. And we are not playing. We're gonna code and we're gonna finish it. I think we have 5 sections. And this one, section A, B, C, D. We are on the D. Then E. We'll be on D. Let me say, adding styles to React app application. That's a simple one. That's a simple one. Oh, mama, it's too much. Part 3. Let me see what's part 3 about. In this in this part, our focus shifts towards the back end. That is towards implementing functionality on the server side of the stack. Oh, we are on Node and Express and deploying app to internet, saving data to MongoDB, validation and ESLint. Okay. First, we complete this. Mama. Okay, we are learning to code, so we are only gonna think about coding or Japanese. Shh. Oh yeah. आप मैं कोई ऐसा गीत गाऊं कि आरज़ू जगाऊं, अगर तुम कहो was deleted. Altering the data in the server when creating nodes in an application. Actually, it's been a while since I've coded, so hi. Let me have a little chat with my sexy mentor. Isn't that retired? Da yone. Kara Bell face threat toe. Uh, A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z X Y Z. Not chaotically, methodically. Your objective right now is simply to restore your React mental model and finish off a support to the so Kira can start on solid ground. So the only missing pieces are post requests, updating React state after server response, service module, React state becomes the mirror of server, Axios, JSON, response, set state, boom, UI re-render. Mama. Your first coding task: open your phone book project, implement the post flow. The logical sequence must be user submits form, creates new data. Boom. We send it to the server. Waiting for server response. Update state with returned object. Update state with the returned object. Prav. What's up, Prav? Prav the nani. Important response data, not the original object, because the server may add things like ID timestamp, step 4 verify correct behavior, test carefully, extract the backend service. Why this matters? I don't care why this matters. Okay, we can service modules. Service modules isolate API communication from UI logic. This professional architecture. Your session today should achieve post request working state updated from response page, refresh persistent, service module extracted. After this, once part 2D is complete, we initially start prototype. No service math, yeah, just a review loop. Before you start coding, tell me one thing so I know your memory is back. When using use effect, why does the dependency array being empty prevent an empty loop? Cause empty array means that the use effect will only trigger once on the first rendering will stop there if object But reasoning needs to be sharper. Let's try this. When React renders a component, the sequences roughly renders phase. React executes the component function. JSX is produced. Commit phase. React updates the DOM. React runs use effect. So use effect runs after the render is. Yeah, after the first render. Yeah. Those were the words that I. Why empty array runs only once? The dependency array means run this effect only if one of the dependencies changes. But the array is empty, meaning there are no dependencies to watch. React runs the effect after the first render, then never again. So it behaves like component did mount from whole class component. Why missing dependency array can cause a loop. Now the effect runs after every render. Sequence become render component. Use effect runs. Set person's update state. State update triggers new render. My user effect runs again. Set person again, and then infinite loop. The loop happens because the effect updates state, and state triggers another render. Effect updates state, and state triggers another render. The correct rule: if your effect has a piece of state, what am I doing? If your effect updates a piece of state, that state must not be a dependency unless you intentionally want the effect to read on. If your effect updates a piece of state, that must not be a dependency unless you intentionally want the effect to read on. One more important detail most beginners. Even with React strict mode in development runs effect twice sometimes. This is intentionally to detect unsafe side effects. So if you see 2 fetches in dev mode, it's normal. Production runs 1. React strict mode in development runs effects twice sometimes. Good. Mostly back. You're ready. I'm ready. Implement post request. Update state using responsive data. Verify. I don't know what you're talking about. System online, the engine reopens. What's wrong with Gemini? Talking like a spaceship. Taking extra rest was shut up. Gauntlet and all that. Yeah, I've been away from my day for a while. Coders first. Fingers will likely forget where the brackets go in and add a function. And you might blank on how you. It'll be back. Interactive Creda. We are done with full stacks phone. It is time to build your next application. Yeah. Your shit. Gemini is. Yeah, Gemini is potatoes. Strip out the boiler plate logos. Huh? I ain't using here. Hello. Altering data in server. When creating nodes in our application, we would naturally want to store them in some backend server. The JSON server package claims to be so-called REST API in its documentation. Get a full fake REST API with zero coding in less than 30 seconds. Seriously, the JSON server does not exactly match the description provided by the textbook definition of a REST API, but neither do most other API claiming to be RESTful. RESTful API. What's a REST API? Everything, I forgot everything. A REST API is an application programming interface that conforms to the design principles of the representation state transfer. Conforms to the design principles of the representational state transfer architectural style used to connect distributed hypermedia system DHS. REST APIs are sometimes referred to RESTful APIs or REST. I have no idea what you're talking about. Four types of REST APIs are get, retrieve data, post, create data, put, update, delete, remove data. REST is a software architectural style that was created to describe the design and guide the development of the architecture for the World Wide Web. REST defines a set of constraints for how the architecture of a distributed internet scale hypermedia system such as the web should behave. The REST API is an application interface that conforms to the separate servers. The REST store is used to connect we will take a closer look at REST in the next part of the course, but it's important to familiarize ourselves at this point with some of the conventions used by JSON server and REST APIs in general. In particular, we will be taking a look at the conventional use of route routes, aka URLs, and HTTP request types in REST. In REST terminology, we refer to individual data objects such as nodes in our applications as resources. In REST terminology, we refer to आप हमारी दुकान बन गए, आप हमारी दुकान बन गए. Sorry. REST. In REST terminology, we refer to REST terminology, we refer to individual data objects such as the nodes in our application as resources. Every resource has a unique address associated with it. Its URL, its URL. Okay, according to every resource has a unique address associated with it. Its URL. According to a general convention used by JSON server, we would be able to locate an individual node at the resource URL nodes/3, where 3 is the ID of the resource. The node URL, on the other hand, would point to a resource collecting containing all the nodes. Would point to a resource collection containing all the nodes. Resources are fetched from the server with HTTP GET requests. For instance, HTTP GET request to the URL nodes/3 / will return the node that has the ID number 3, and HTTP GET request to the node's URL would return a list of all nodes. Creating a new resource for storing a node is done by making an HTTP post request to the node's URL. Creating a new resource for storing a node is done by making a HTTP post. Creating a new resource for storing a node is done by making a HTTP post request to the node's URL according to the REST convention that the JSON server adheres to. The data for the new node resource is sent in the body of the request. For the new node resource is sent in the body of the request. JSON server requires all data to be sent in JSON format. What this means in practice is that the data must be correctly formatted string, and that the request must contain the content type request header with the value application /JSON. Is it slash? What do you say? Slash? That's a slash. Sending data to the server. Let's make the following changes to the event handler responsible for creating a node. Okay. Add nodes. We've done it before. We now have the put request. Post request only for the time being. That post, we did that, and new object. Okay. Then responsing. We create a new object for the node. We create a new object. Node object. Where am I getting that node object from? आप हमारी दुकान बन गए. वहाँ गाने बेकार कर दिया भाई मैंने तो. We create a new object for the node, but omit the ID. But omit the ID, since it's better to let the servers generate IDs for all resources. How do you start a server? First, where am I? Oh. Yeah, I could have. I didn't need to. What am I doing? Yeah, it's oh my lord, I can't stop. I could have done it in one line, but no. npm run dev ekai. बुला देने मालिक दिया समझा इसके आगे अब मैं क्या करूँ ऐसा अच्छा था Oh, it's not. Oh, I think we have some of these. Some of these. Yes, sir. Of course. Is it okay to be hungry? Of course. Okay, we create a new object for the node, but omit the ID property since it's better to let the server generate IDs for our application, for our resources. The object is sent to the server using the what's this? The object is the object is sent to the server using the Axios post method. The object is sent to the server using the Axios post method. The registered event handler logs the response that is sent back from the server to the console. We try to create a new node. The following output pops up in the console. Yeah, of course. Mama. I don't know, I've done it like that. I waited up and okay, mama. Ikai. When we try to create a new node, the following output pops up in the console. Popsicle. Actually, like, we have extra code. So the newly created node resource is stored in the newly created node resource is stored in the value of the newly created node resource is stored in the value of the data property of the response object. The newly created node resource is stored in the value value of the data property from the response object. Sorry. What's happening over here? No to object to no to I know one more thing you can do. Oh, I don't have that on. I realized. How do you run that? npm run esl into npm run server. That's all. JSON server. Oh, that's why. Sorry. That's how a host runs. That's how a goat runs. What? Okay, man. Okay. That's data and beta. Value prop. No. We create a new object for the node, but omit the ID property, since it's better to let the server generate IDs for all resource. The object is sent to the server using the execute post method. The registered event handler logs the response that is sent back from the server to the console. When we try to create a new node, the following output pops up in the server console. The newly created node resources stored in the value of the data property. Data property value content. The newly created node resources stored in the value of the data property of the response object. Color outline content headers. These quite often it is useful to inspect HTTP requests in the network tab of Chrome developer tools, which was used heavily at the beginning of part 0. New like new is there now. Use day, baby. Header patch response. What? Is it there? I don't know what that is. No, I think it's here. Here, this okay, that's new. Content type application JSON. Quite often it is useful to inspect HTTP requests in the network tab of Chrome developer tools, which was used heavily at the beginning of part 0. We can use the inspector to check the headers sent in the post request are what we expected them to be. Since the data we sent in post request was a JavaScript object, Axios automatically knew to set the appropriate application JSON value for the content type header. The tab payload can be used to check the request data. Used to check the request data. Payload request data, requested data. Request data. All the tab response is useful. Also, the tab response is useful. It shows what was the data the server responded with. Response payload request data. The server responded with this. The new node is not rendered to the screen yet. This is because we did not update the state of the app component when we created it. Let's fix this. Actually, I'm gonna put request put request. I'm gonna comment it out. Let's update, refresh it. We have it. Will that do that too? Okay. The new note is. What was I doing? The new note is not rendered to the screen yet. This is because we did not update the state. Yeah, I've already made changes to the code. The new node is not rendered to the screen yet. This is because we did not update the state of the app component when we created it. Let's fix it. But this set new nodes, nodes is the state. No, nodes. Okay, nodes set nodes. Concat it. That creates a new array response.data. And then we're gonna set the new node to be an empty array, so when do that it's empty. The new node returned by the backend server is added to the list of nodes in our application state, and the customary way of using the new node returned by the backend server is added to the list. The new node returned by the backend server is added to the list of nodes in our application's state in the customary way of using the set node function, and then resetting the node creation form. The most important detail to remember is that The concat method does not change the component's original state, but instead creates a new copy of the list. Once the data returned by the server starts to have an effect on the behavior of our web applications, we are immediately faced with a whole new set of challenges arising from, for instance, the asynchronicity of communication. This necessitates new debugging strategies. Console logging and other means of debugging become increasingly more important. We must also develop a sufficient understanding of the principles of both JavaScript. We must also develop a sufficient understanding of the principles of both the JavaScript runtime and React components. Guessing won't be enough. It's beneficial to inspect the state of the backend server through the browser. Beneficial to inspect the state of the backend server. Backend server? State of the backend server. What you mean? This makes it possible to verify all the data we intended to send was actually received by the server. In the next part of the course, we will learn to implement our own logic in the backend. We will then take a closer look at tools like Postman that helps us to debug our server applications. However, inspecting the state of the JSON server through the browser is sufficient for our current needs. The code for the current state of our application can be found in part 2.5 branch on GitHub. I do my code. By changing the importance of nodes, let's add. What am I doing? Let's add a button to every node. Yeah, should I let's add a button to every node that can be used for toggling its importance. We make the following changes to the node component. Everything is coming back. Node component. Stupid. Node props. I did that. Const label. Node important. Make not important. Make important. Let's node dot content. Button on click. Toggle importance. Hi, I'm back. I didn't realize I was muted. That's note key, note ID, note is note. Note is note. Okay. Toggle importance. Notice how every note receives its own unique event handler function, since the ID of every note is unique. How every note receives its own unique event handler. Important. Okay, like I will show you. Nanda kore. Yeah. What's happening with this? Importance of needs to be toggled. Like that, okay. Notice how every node receives its own unique event handler function, since the ID of every node is unique. If node.id is a 3, the event handler function returned. Toggle node.id will be console importance 3 needs to be toggled. A short reminder here: the string printed by the event handler is defined in a Java-like manner by adding the strings. The template string syntax added in ES6 can be used to write similar strings in a much nicer way. We can now use the $bracket syntax to add paths to the string that will evaluate JavaScript expressions. The value of a variable. Note that exclamation marks used in regular JavaScript strings. Individual. What's this? Individual nodes stored in the JSON backend. Individual nodes stored in the JSON server backend can be modified in 2 different ways: by making HTTP requests to the node's unique URL. We can either replace the entire node with an HTTP put request, or only change some of the node's properties with an HTTP patch request. So with HTTP put request, we are replacing the entire node, and with the patch, we are replacing some data inside the node. Okay, my individual nodes stored in the JSON server backend can be modified in 2 different ways: by making HTTP requests to the node's unique URL. We can either replace the entire node with a HTTP put request, or only change some of the node's properties with the HTTP patch request. The final form of the event handler function is the following. Actually, I'm gonna write that again once more. Yeah. Const, we have the URL. It's fine. And then we can have the ID. Where's the $? $sign. It's a backtick. What am I on? Okay. And then we have our note variable, which is note. We are trying to find the notes on which that's an arrow function, and if they like notes id is equal to id, okay, this id, if the notes id is equal to this id, then we take that out. We make a new array from those nodes that match this condition. Const changed. That's for okay. Let's change node. So first, what you call it? Spread. We are spreading it, and then this important property, we want it to be not node important. What do you mean? Not. What's happening over here? I'm going to node object. Okay. It's all broken. ちょっと待って。How is it returning true? That's okay. Okay. So we're gonna make it not true. Like all broken. We're gonna have to write this. So this property, we spreaded the array. Now this, what are we doing? We're gonna make it not important. We're gonna set this property to not. Okay. And then we do the exos. Put request. We fake it till we make it. Okay, that's the URL that we're gonna give, and then data array node change node. Yeah, because we are toggling at the main. Yeah, we can't just give it the original node. Okay. Like we are changing the node. The node's important, so after that the modified version of the note we are gonna give it. And what we are gonna do with it, we do here with dot then response. With the response we do this, we are gonna set notes. Don't worry, we will do exercises, so in that we will have to use our brain. We'll not just be copying things. Yeah, set notes dot map, like we are running a map function over the note array, and if notes id, if every notes id is equal to id, then that's a ternary operator. What's a ternary operator? What I don't know what you call it. Ternary operator. I even forgot how to. What's a ternary operator. Yeah, it is. I know, I got confused. I don't know. Okay, if it's true, then we set the response. We just give the response. Response data. Responses data. We give back. Like, it'll be stored in a new array. Or if that condition is not true, then it's going to be the simple note. That's it. So that's HTML is easy. Who said that? Cannot access node before initialization. App.57. Did I make some mistake? Like it's nodes, not node. Okay, so renders 42 nodes. Or do something. It is doing. Make important, not important. We can write some. दुकान में ओके सॉरी दुकान में कुछ नहीं oh sorry just again you see that if it's true then false, we're toggling it. Okay, bye. Not cool. Almost every line of code in the function body contains important detail. The first line defines the unique URL for each node. Okay, node resource based on its ID. Okay. The array find method is used to find the node we want to modify, and we then assign it to the node variable. That particular node which has this ID. After this, okay, The array find method is used to find the node we want to modify and then assign it to the node variable. After this we create a new object that is an exact copy of the old one. After that we create a new object that the exact copy of the new one, apart from an important property and I spread operator and that's like important property that has the value flipped, that we flipped over here from true to false, or from false to true. The code for creating the new object that uses the object spread syntax may seem a bit strange at first. Const change node spread in practice creates a new array, new object. In practice creates a new object with copies of all the properties from the node object. Joy. Wait a minute, like object spread. This spread syntax allows an iterable such as an array or string to be expanded in such as an array, like the spread syntax allows an iterable such as an array or string to be expanded in places where 0 or more arguments for function calls or elements for array literals are expected. To be expanded in places where 0 or more arguments. To be expanded in places where 0 or more arguments for function calls or elements for array literals are expected. In object literal, the spread syntax enumerates the property of an object. What am I reading? In an object literal, the spread syntax enumerates the property of an object and adds the key value pairs to the object being created. Spread syntax looks exactly like rest. In a way, spread syntax is the opposite of rest syntax. Spread syntax expands an array into its elements, while rest syntax collects multiple elements and condenses them into an element. Oh wow something. Wow. Bow wow. Now wow. Huff off. I know. I'm just in practice creates a new object with copies of all the properties from the node object. Creates a new object with copies of all properties from the node object. Why are you reading? Again. When we add properties inside the curly braces after the spread object, then the value of the important. When we add properties inside the curly braces after the spread object, like that, okay, the value of the important property of the new object will be true. In our example, the important property gets the negation of its previous value in the original object. There are a few things to point out. Why did we make a copy of the object we wanted to modify when the following code also appears to work? This is not recommended because the variable note is a reference to an item in the notes array in the component state. This is not recommended because the variable note is a reference to an item in the notes array. The variable note I'm sleepy. Come on. This is not recommended because the variable note is a reference to an item in the notes. Reference to an item in the notes array in the component state. And as we recall, we must never mutate state directly in React. It's also worth noting that the new object changed is only a so-called shallow copy, meaning that the value of the new object are the same, meaning that the values of the new object are the same as the I don't like that meaning that the values of the new object are the same as the values of the It's also worth noting that the new object changed note is only a so-called shallow copy, meaning that the value of the new object are the same as the values of the old object. If the value of the old object were objects themselves, then the copied values in the new object would reference the same object that were in the old object. Then the copied values in the new object would reference the same. Stop thinking about that. If the values of the old object were objects themselves, then the copied values in the new object would reference the same object that were in the old object. The new node is then sent with a put request to the backend where it will replace the old object. Know it. The callback function sets the components node. The callback function sets the component nodes state to a new array that contains all the items from the previous nodes array except for the the old node, which is replaced by the updated version of it returned by the server. Okay. This is accomplished with the map method. Boom. The map method creates a new array by mapping over items from the old array into an item in the new array. In our example, mapping every item from the old array into an item in the new array. In our example, the new array is created conditionally so that if node.id equals id is true, the node object returned by the server is added to the array. The node object returned by the server is added to the array. If the condition is false, then we simply copy the item from the old array into the new array instead. The map trick may seem a bit strange at first, but it's worth spending some time wrapping your head around it. We will be using this method many times throughout the course. Extracting communication with the backend into a separate module. Extracting communication with the back. Yeah, I'll be back, man. I'm gonna let go. Whoa. Who looks like that? Oh my lord. Ha. Thousand years. It's been a long time ago. I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. I knew it by my thought that I could make those people dance and maybe they'd be happy for a while. February made me shiver with every paper I delivered. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I don't know I'ma look it up. Mommy. We can eat. We can eat a little. क्यों है इतनी देर दुनिया शांति से रहने नहीं देती नहीं देती तो रुको 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 छिया नहीं इसके आगे अब मैं क्या इसके आगे अब मैं क्या extracting communication with the backend into a separate module. Oh, 1 hour wasted. Extracting communication with the backend into a separate module. The app module. No. The app module. Motherfucker. Extracting communication with the backend into a separate module. App component has become somewhat bloated after adding the code for communicating with the backend server in the spirit of single responsibility principle. We deem it wise to extract this communication into its own module. Let's create source services directory and add a file there called notes.js. Source services. Mama source. We create a directory which is, we are gonna name it services. And then we notes.js. That's what we are gonna name it. My import xuse. Okay, we are importing xuse from xuse, and that's our base URL. Base URL is going to be this. Let's copy from here. Okay, and then Creators get all arrow function mama and return axios dot get base URL get request post like that. Return axios dot get base URL. Const one more method, which is going to be it's gonna take the new object though, and it's gonna return axios dot post base URL we give, and then we add object new one. Then const we have update, then we have an ID and a new object. Okay, and then we are gonna return axios put and that's a put $sign $, $base URL / the formality ID dio, and then the new object and then we're gonna export default and all the methods. We're gonna export them. All get Janeo. Okay, that's create as a name, and then update exported all of these. The module returns an object. The module returns, let's create a service. Let's create a service. My source service is directed in add a file there called nodes.js. The module returns an object that has 3 functions: get all, create, and update. Adds its properties that deal with nodes. 3 functions. The functions directly return the promise returned by the axios methods. The functions directly returns the promises returned by the axios methods. The app component uses import to get access to the module. Boom. Uses the import node services. The function of the module can be directly choto. And one video I said that choto. Oh Lord. import notes services. Come on, man. Services notes. Okay, the app component uses import to get access to the module app.gx. The function of the module can be used directly with the imported variables. Note service as follows. Use effect. कितना पागल है. Sorry. Toggle, bit pagal ane. Okay, a use effect. Ha. Okay. Tang lang ding ding lang ling ding lang ding ding lang language पर मैं दबाओ. Tomate. La. Okay. Use effect. Note services. Can I erase all that? Let's comment it out. Okay, then note services. Note service. Okay, like that. Okay. That get all method. Boom. This. Yeah, why did it call? Why did this thing name it note services service? Is it you can name it anything? Okay, and then deal with the response, and that's the response that we have, and response set notes response dot data, the data. Okay, response dot the data, everything fine. Fine. Okay, and then toggle importance. updaters, but before that we're gonna do a post, not dot create. Coco melon. Okay, so you go like that, and node service, and then we're gonna use the create method with the node object that we created, and then we're gonna deal with the response. Response, that's the response. We're gonna get promised results, response, what you call it, module it's popular promise based HTTP client library for library, Axios library, right? HTTP client library for Java used to make request in both browser and node environments. It simplifies asynchronous data fetching by automatically transforming JSON data, supporting request cancellation, and providing robust promise. Uses dot then anything for the response set nodes concat nodes dot concat response dot data, and we're gonna set the new node to this. Okay, and then we become this is my kingdom come. Sorry. Handle toggle importance. Put it on it. Charlie put Charlie. Okay, like that. And then what's the name? Use node service dot to update to it needs an ID we will give, and URL no change node. Oh wow. Okay, dot then response, and then we just set the notes to be notes.map and note.id equal to id milf. Why do I remember milf right now? That's a response. Response.data. Response. What's a response? Response screen. The way it's just notes. And that's it. Should work. Response is not defined. Response. Okay, sir. How about now? Tick tick tick. Render 42 nodes. Oh, make them big, make it big, make it small. Make it small. It's gonna show the small ones, big ones, big D. That's B. Small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big. Oops. Sorry. I'm a flirt. Small, big, dream, small, big, dream, small, big, bring, bam, 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 bam. Choro. I just set a timer. It helps. entire HTTP request. We could take our implementation a step further. When the app component uses the functions, it receives an object that contains the entire response for HTTP request. The app component uses the response.data property of the response object. The module would be much nicer to use if instead of the entire HTTP response, we would only get the response data. Initial notes. The module would be much nicer to use instead of the entire HTTP response. We would only get the response data using the module. Using the module would look like this. Return request dot. Instead of doing it over here, we are doing it in the services folder here. इसके आगे अब मैं क्या करूं? Sorry. Response. Real response. La la. Okay, got it. Okay, the app. We can achieve this by changing the code in the module, of course, and get all method. We create a create a variable request axios dot get and then base URL and now return request, and then we're gonna down response Okay. request dot then response again. Response dot data update तेरा बाप हट सॉरी भावनाओं में बह जाता हूँ मैं थोड़ा सा इमोशनल व्यक्ति हूँ sorry dot Diana response have you lost your mind, have you lost your brains? Not data, we only want data. Okay. Oh, what's wrong with update wait, what you mean? This may be converted to an async function. So what should we do, Bala? What can we do, Bala? This may be converted to an async function. Oh, this may be. Don't do that now. We no longer return the promise written by Axios directly. Instead we assign the promise to the request variable and call it then method. Call its then method. Return the promise. We no longer return the promise returned by Axios directly. Instead we assign the promise to the request variable and call it then method. Like that. The last draw. Come on. कितनी बार टम हट चुप कर बहन चुप. Okay, the last draw denote function is simply a more compact expression of the code as shown below. My it's fine. Like, get it. Don't really have to. But I'll do it for one, okay? Like, same. More compact expression of the code as shown below. We'll have one. The modified get all functions to returns a promise, and the modify get all functions still returns a promise, as the then method of a promise also returns a promise. Everything is returning promise. Fuck promises. The modified get all function still returns a promise, as the then method of a promise also returns a promise. I'll just write it. Okay, motherfucker. Sorry. the promise as then method of the promise also returns after defining the parameter of the then method to directly return response.data. After defining the parameter of the then method, shut up. After defining the parameter of the then method to directly return response.data, we have gotten the get all function to work like we wanted it to. When the HTTP request is successful, the promise returns the data sent back. The promise returns the data sent back in the response from the backend. Like when the HTTP request is successful, the promise returns the data. The promise returns the data sent back. The promise returns this bad data sent back in the response from the backend. We have to update the app component to work with the changes. We have to update. Is it like it doesn't work? We have to update app component to work with the changes made to our module. We have to fix the callback functions given as parameters to the node service. Callback the function. Callback. Well, just that should work. தெரியுமாக்கா 다요네 라요라 We have to update the app component to work with the changes made to our module. We have to fix the callback functions given as parameters to the node service, objects, methods. So object methods so that the user directly return response data. That's all the promise. Objects methods to the response. We have to fix the callback functions given as parameters to the node service. Reto. Okay. Dakidu. That's gonna break it. Brackets. ちょっと待って、ちょっと待って、ちょっとcan't believe I said that. ちょっと待って。Timothy le quería que haga algo. ¿Qué onda? Llega la chava. क्यों? सही नहीं है क्या? क्यों? क्या बोलती तुम? है क्या मैं बोलूं? है सुनो we have to update after defining the parameter of the then method to directly return response data. We have gotten the get all function to work like we wanted it to. When the HTTP request is successful, the promise returns the data sent back in the response. When the HTTP request is successful, the promise returns the data sent back in the response from the backend. We have to update the app component to work with the changes made to our module. We have to fix the callback functions given as parameters to not note service objects methods, so that they use the directly return response data. Then returned nodes ducko importance like that. Returned data, return node, not data. Let's return node responsive. Mama. Okay. Now that if you do that, okay. And the last one, this over here. Are we not using the URL anymore? The ID. Oh, the base URL is here now. Base URL. Where are we getting the base URL from? Are we getting it from URL? We're not giving it long. Base URL. Exhaust. Hey, ha. Oh, from here, mama. Like it's useless now. I mean, well, I can just remove the things too, but it's fine if they're commented out, so it's fine. That's a bit messy. Not a bit. It's too much. Create the response. Return data. That also. Returned data. Okay. Note. Mine's fine. Who cares? Oh. Oh. What are you doing? fine. Refers to sorry. Sorry, no sorry, but okay. Wax. This is all quite complicated, and attempting to explain it may just make it harder to understand. The internet is full of material discussing the topic, such as this one. The async and performance book from the You Do Not Know JS book series explains the topic well. I know it. Read online free. Yeah, I already read that. I don't need to. What's up, nigga? Sorry. Promise chaining. Shakala bum. Shakala laka boom boom. Okay. What's the promise chaining? Returning promises. A handler used in .NET handler may create and return a promise. In this case, further handlers wait until it settles and then gets its result. Here's the first, then shows and returns new promise. Return a new promise. Then it's also gonna return promise and settle like that. So the output is the same as the previous example, 1 to 4, but now with 1 second delay between alert cools. Sorry, promises are central to modern JavaScript development, and it is highly recommended to invest a reasonable amount of time into understanding them. I mean, I've read the thing. Yeah. Cleaner syntax for defining object literals. The object defining node related services currently exports an object with the properties get all the module defining node related services currently exports an object with the properties get all create and update that are assigned to function for handling nodes. The module definition was this is the definition. The module exports the following rather peculiar looking object. The labels to the left of the column is the object definition. In the object definition are the keys of the object, whereas the ones to the right of it are variables. Key properties. Right. Key properties. Variables to the right. Whereas the ones on the right of it are variables that are defined inside the module. Since the names of the keys and since the names of the keys and the assigned variables are the same, we can write the object definition with a more compact syntax. Ha. Like इसके आगे अब मैं क्या करूँ? अल्लाह yeah, that's a shorthand. Boom boom. As a result, the module definition gets simplified into the following form, and yeah, of course, and let's just do it like that too. बहन के लन कौन फोन कर रहा है? मेरे को बेकार लगता है भाई, फ़ोन मत करा करो मुझे करना ही है किसी से बात। हाँ चो अरे कोटा तो है, मैं भी काम कर रहा हूँ, कोटा की करूँ क्या तुम्हारा? यार बैंक वालों को these fucking assholes. ये कहाँ था? मुझे क्या सजेस्ट हो रहा है? बहन चोदी हट रहा बहन का लंड। हाँ यार मैं माथा खराब कर रहा है। तो नहीं हूँ इंसानों में, बिकता हूँ मैं दुकानों में, दुनिया बनाई मेरे पापा ने। मेरे पापा सब कुछ कर सकते हैं भाई, अब कुछ भी बता नहीं सकता अभी क्या क्या, बट कुछ भी। Okay, I think that's it. Promises and errors. Too much. Oh, again, you're out. Okay, like we're gonna till here. We're gonna do to here and down. Step 7, 8, 9. That'll be for tomorrow. Step 10 we can do tomorrow. I need to start waking up at night. I don't know, when it's fucking hot, you can't really do anything. Can't really do much. Okay, feels better. Okay. Phone book. After completing this one, I'm gonna start that one. Actually, what's the next one? About adding styles to React app. We don't care about that right now. Inline styles and all that. Sorry, but that's not information of has already been. What's this? Couple of important remarks. A lot of remarks. Too many. Switzerland, Finland, Nagaland. Okay. Nagaland, where am I? Oh, in the in defining the object using with the shorter notation, we make use of a new feature that was introduced to JavaScript ES6, enabling a slightly more compact way of defining objects. Using variables. To demonstrate this feature, let's consider a situation where we have the following values assigned to variables. Like that. In older versions of JavaScript, we had to define an object like that. However, since both the property fields and the variable names in the objects are the same, it's enough to simply write down the following in ES6 JavaScript. The result is identical for both expressions. They both create an object with a name property with the value Levi, and age property with the value of 0. Bro is still in the womb. An object initializer is a comma delimiter list of 0 or more pairs of property names and associated value of an object, enclosed in curly braces. Objects can also be initialized using by invoking constructor function with the new operator. Okay. Done. Promises and errors. If our application allowed users to delete nodes, we could end up in a situation where a user tries to change the if our application allowed users to delete nodes, we could end up in a situation where a user tries to change the importance of a node that has already been deleted from the system. Let's simulate the situation by making the getAll function of the node services return a hard-coded node that does not actually exist on the backend server. Okay, sorry. I cannot do it. I'm sorry. Const. Okay, then non-existing array. Non-existing object node object or node as an object. 12 1 2020. Okay. Content. This dois thy. This is not safe to serve. Yo. Thy shall be important. Is it important? No. Okay, matter. Fine. Thy shall be. Okay, then we are returning the data and concat method. Concat. Non-existing. Response isn't. Thy shall be. Shall buy. You abide. ところパタカタカタ。ちょっと待って。Thy shall be. Concat bandra. Okay, college actually. Response. Oh. Should we go there? Actually, you know what? I can do the thing over here if I really wanna check it. All I'm doing is checking. How about that? We ain't returning anything. And promise response. Nada yo. But तेरा बाप response बोला ना मैंने. Mama. Okay, Micah. Like that, okay. It's an array. Of course. What was I thinking? Okay. That's why we are using the one gun method. It's an array. Because it's an array and non-existing. Non-existing, baby. What are these? Non-existing. This node. So we do that. And now, boom. Put. Uncaught in promise. Request field with the status code 404. What are you doing? Application be like. When we try to change the importance of the hard-coded node, we see the following error message in the console. The error says that the backend server is vulnerable with the status code of 404 not found. The application should be request failed with status code 404. The application should be able to handle these types of error situations gracefully. Users won't be able to tell that an error has occurred unless they happen to have their console open. The only way the error can be seen in the application is that clicking the button does not affect the node importance. Yeah, the only way the error can be seen in the application is that clicking the button does not affect the node's importance. We had previously mentioned that a promise can be in one of three different states. When an Axios HTTP request fails, the associated promise is rejected. Pending, resolved, rejected, resolve. When an Axios HTTP method request fails, the associated promise is rejected. Current code does not handle this rejection in any way. Current code does not handle this rejection in any way. The rejection of a promise is handled by providing the then method with a second callback function, which is called in this situation where the promise is rejected. Rejection of a promise is handled by providing the then method with a second callback function. Which is called in the situation where the promise is rejected. The more common way of adding a handler for rejected promises is to use the catch method. In practice, the error handler for rejected promises is defined like that. In practice, the error handler for rejected promises is defined like that. Okay. So getto vetto. Hi. Okay, if the request fails, the event handler registered with the catch. The event handler registered with the catch method gets called. The catch method is often utilized by placing it deeper within the promise chain. When multiple .then methods are changed together, we are in fact creating a promise chain. Multiple then methods are chained together, we are in fact creating a promise chain. Response, later, data, the beta, whatever. Okay, the catch method can be used to define a handler function at the end of a promise chain. Wait a minute. The catch method can be used to define a handler function at the end of a promise chain, which is called once any promise in the chain throws an error and the promise becomes rejected. Wow. Let's take advantage of this feature. We will place our application's error handler in the apps component. Place our application's error handler in the app component. App components. Nice. Catchy. Let's play catchy. That's fine. Let's play catchy. Okay, we'll do an alert. So the note dollar. Where's a dollar? Where's a dollar sign? Dollar note dot content. Sir was already deleted from the server. Note. What's wrong with it? Could not find not dot not. Why is that? Why is that? Huh? Ba. Isn't it supposed to be notes dot content? No. What am I doing? It's not. That's wrong. The wrong place. You're doing it at the wrong place. Wish this thing should happen when we try to toggle the importance of a note. Now it's gonna work. That's the note contents, and then we're gonna set the notes. I'm tired. Notes.filter. And if it's not equal to ID, god damn. Oh, okay. Filter. We're gonna filter it. And if it's not, okay, if the ID does not match, then we're gonna filter it. Off like that. Off. Filter. The filter method. Add a function. Are you stupid? What's wrong with this? The goat. What the goat doing? What an doing? The find method looks for a single element that. So not that if not equal to. And I'm gonna set filtered not content The error message is displayed to the user with the trusty old alert dialog pop-up, and the deleted node gets filtered out from the state. Okay, it's gonna create an array of the ID, like of all the nodes with the ID not matching to this ID. It means that the node with this ID, it's gonna get filtered out. Removing an already deleted node from the application state is done with the array filter method, which returns a new array comprising only the items from the list for which the function was passed as a parameter. Returns true. Okay, removing an already deleted node from the application state is done using the array filter method, which returns a new array comprising only of the items, the list from which the function that was passed as a parameter returns true for. It's probably not a good idea to use alert in some serious React applications. We will soon learn a more advanced way of displaying messages and notifications to users. There are situations, however, where a simple battle tested method. Shut up! God damn it. There are situations, however, where a simple battle tested method like alert can function as a starting point. A more advanced method could always be added in later, given that there's time and energy for it. The code for the current state of application can be found in part 26b 6 branch. Functions oath. Full stack developers oath. Yeah, I read it. Okay. I'm gonna do the exercises tomorrow. I need to read some Japanese, some novels. Only one novel, only few chapters. It is again time for the exercises. The complexity of our app is now increasing since just taking care of the React components in the front end, we also have a back end that is persisting the application's data. To cope with the increasing complexity, we should extend the web developers oath to a full stack developers oath, which reminds us to make web developer full stack developer, which reminds us to make sure that the communication between front end and back end happens as expected. So here is the updated oath. Okay. Full stack development is extremely hard. That is why I will use all the possible means to make it easier. Okay, sir. I will have my browser developer console open. Oh, is it open? Yes. I will use the network tab for the browser dev tools to ensure that the front end and the back end are communicating as expected. Okay, sir. What's wrong with this? Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay. What? Yomitan? What's wrong with Yomitan? Shut up, bitch. What is it? What is this? Okay. I will use the network tab of the browser dev tools to ensure that the front end and back end are communicating as I expect. I will continuously keep an eye on the state of the server to make sure that the data sent there by the front end is saved as I expected. State of the server. Let's add a new one. Okay, now. How about now, bitch? Okay. Yes, sir. Sorry. Okay, I will constantly keep an eye on the state of the server to make sure that the data sent there by the front end is safe there as I expect. I will progress with small steps. No, I don't. I will just sit on my seat. I will write lots of console log statements to make sure, then I comment it out. Okay, yeah, we can comment out there. I will write a lot of console log statements to make sure I understand how the code behaves and to help pinpoint problems. If my code does not work, I will not write more code. Does my code work? Yes, sir. Okay, enough. Instead, I start deleting the code until it works or just returns to a state where everything was still working. When I ask for help in the code, I don't use Discord. Stupid. I don't like your this. Oh, fuck off. Sorry. Discord is stupid. I don't ask for help. But I have AI and I know how to ask for help. Why would I ask for help in a Discord server? Okay, so I'm tired and I can do the exercises tomorrow, and then we're gonna, like, after these exercises I'm gonna work on my own thing. Yeah, so yes sir. Haha. Okay. Bye bye. I'm gonna read some stuff. Bye bye. I'm tired.